This is Sports with Hunzi. This is my opportunity to talk about sports. Span about 30 minutes, 5 topics, about 5 minutes each. Have a little bit of leeway in between or at the end. Um, that's about it. First topic of discussion is ESPN buying NFL Network, which includes Redzone. First thought is please don't screw it up. Chris Hansen does such a wonderful job. The broadcast and more than anything, the excitement that I have on Sunday mornings, knowing that Red Zone is coming on in the afternoon, uninterrupted football. There isn't a necessity to change the channel. Everything about my childhood, I can remember having to switch channels between Fox and CBS and missing games, and then always having to watch ESPN for the highlights. Red Zone is the perfect channel to consume football as a fantasy football lover. It is ideal, especially with no commercials. I have a feeling that ESPN may end up using commercials or bringing on special guests, and I really hope that doesn't happen. It is, I wouldn't say perfect the way it is, but it's damn near close to perfect. I am really interested to see what happens to the bill that I have to foot for ESPN Plus and Red Zone. I'd be curious to know if that price is going to come down for Red Zone, especially if it accompanied with YouTube TV. I don't know how that pricing works, but it would be a shame if it became more expensive. I highly doubt that. I hope ESPN makes it cheaper, which may be a benefit, but that does seem to come with a catch where it's probably going to come with commercials, and I hope there is an option to pay for no commercials during Red Zone. That's kind of a ramble, but God, that is really big news for football lovers. There are too many people who love Red Zone and the way that the NFL Network and the NFL Ticket works right now. I can't imagine not having that same available product over the next couple of years. ESPN hasn't done a good job of not screwing up their talent management, and I really hope they don't put special guests on there that don't know what they're talking about or distort the actual broadcast of Red Zone and other shows on NFL Network. Not that I'll just say I don't know that I really care about the other shows as much as I do Red Zone and the NFL Ticket, so just don't screw it up. So the second thing I want to talk about is Luka signing his extension in LA. 3 years, $165 million guaranteed. Cool for the Lakers. That's what Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss and ownership wants. They have their superstar player for the next 5 to 10 years that puts butts in seats. That's what the Lakers have been, I would say, for the last, well, I guess Jeannie Buss took over in 2012. They had Kobe till 2016. 2018, whatever it was, and now they have LeBron. Now they're moving on to Luka. They have their shiny little object. I don't know if they care about winning. What they have done this offseason and what they are okay with right now and what the Lakers have been over the past couple of years screams exactly what management is okay with and content with. And I think Luka is a fantastic player, and I think he's one of the 5 best players in the NBA right now. I don't know if he can elevate your team to win a championship in today's NBA with the way that teams are set up right now. Oklahoma City and their defense, Boston and their defense, everything is becoming defensive minded, especially during the playoffs. And if Luka is your best player who always needs to be on the court and is the worst defender on your team constantly, I don't know how you hide that with the roster that they have now. They don't have enough of a rim protector, and they don't have enough wing defenders to cover up his mistakes. Not to mention that if LeBron's still on the team, LeBron can be a great defender. He can't be your best defender, and he shouldn't be. He should be the computer that is able to handle the ball when Luka can't, and he should start to move into more of a power forward, post work, almost Karl Malone-esque player, maybe even Julius Randle, the way that he needs to play over the next couple of years to prolong his career and be as efficient as he is, especially in Luka's system. He's going to have to become even better of a shooter and even a better defender. But that's all to say, the Lakers just don't care about winning. The lack of a big man and the lack of perimeter depth that they signed this year or this offseason to help Luka, especially knowing what works for Luka. You think about the bigs in Dallas that he worked with, even Kristaps. Like, you need a lob threat. You need somebody that can run the floor and one that can block shots, and we don't have anybody. And when I say we, I don't mean I'm a part of the Lakers. I just mean that the Lakers themselves don't have that. Really, they need two big men to be able to compete, and they don't have it. I'll be interested to see where they go from here. But last on the Luka, man, that really sucks for the Mavs. He wanted to sign an extension with Dallas. It seems like the communication and the authoritarian leadership in Dallas screwed him over, and Mark Cuban walking away from some of the decision making because he had to sell his ownership rights. It's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to the Dallas Mavericks organization. Luka puts butts in seats, and I know that the Mavs want to contend for championships. At the end of the day, the Lakers may have the Mavericks may have a better team over the next couple of years. I don't know that it's better for fans. Winning championships solves the boring team aspect. But if you have a boring team and you're not winning championships, people stop showing up. And I think that's what the Lakers have always done well, which is, look, if we're not going to win a championship, we're at least going to put butts in seats because we have a shiny object or a star player. And for the Dallas Mavericks, you don't have either. So that really sucks. Third topic of discussion. What a shit show Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys are. Now, I have to give him credit because I'm doing exactly what Jerry wants me to do, which is talk about him. But every offseason, this game that he plays with his star players that are up for contracts where he delays extending them and is extremely counterproductive to actual roster building is baffling to, at least to me. If he says he wants to win, I don't think he actually wants to win. Similar to the Lakers, they want to be this, the star pony in the show. However, they don't really care about winning. If they get all the attention and they look good and they're just good enough to be talked about, he can create enough attention that the value of the organization goes up. They're in talk shows. If they're in conversation, they're in contention in Jerry's eyes. 35 years of him being the GM and 25 years of misery where they barely won a couple playoff games, haven't won a Super Bowl. They haven't made to a conference championship since I've been born, and that was in 1996. I don't particularly understand. Well, I do understand why Jerry hasn't won a championship, and it's because he hasn't moved out of his own way. But it's a clown show, and I know that it's probably obsolete or illogical to think that someone could get through to him and make him think differently or take a different approach to his managing ownership style. But until Jerry moves out of the way, there's no way Dallas succeeds. Mainly because if you're paying your best players top dollar each year and not getting ahead, there's no way to formulate a team around the talent that they do have, especially knowing Dak's not a certified top 5 quarterback. And if you can't build a great offensive line and you can't build a great defensive line because your money's caught up in CeeDee Lamb and only Micah, you're not going to be able to compete. The Eagles are too good. The Commanders are getting better, and they are better spent at each position. Jerry's digging himself a grave that I think he's okay with at the end of the day. I think he's okay with not winning playoff games. I think he's okay with blaming coach after coach and the lack of self-awareness that he has. They will be the Cowboys, and the Cowboys won't win playoff games, which sucks for Cowboys fans, but that's what they signed up for. They signed up to be America's team, and America's team gets talked about, whether they're winning or losing. As long as they're getting talked about, they're America's team, and Jerry's succeeding at that. Fourth topic of discussion will be the Florida Gators football team. Football is right around the corner. We're less than, we're coming up on 3 weeks until the first game. A lot of people have talked about the Florida Gators being good this year. I'm hopeful. I don't expect much. I think Billy Napier is a great recruiter, good CEO, can manage people and manage talent wisely. He can't move out of his way quick enough. The offense and his attention to, or I should say, why didn't he hire an OC? I don't know. I still think that's going to be a huge problem. If there's going to be a saving grace this year, it's going to be the offensive line. The offensive line, 4 out of the 5 starters are upperclassmen. I think 3 of them are graduate or seniors. There's only one lowerclassman on the offensive line, and he's a sophomore. If the offensive line can create push against the better fronts in the SEC, we averaged a little bit more than 4 yards a carry last year, which is great. I don't think, and I couldn't see the stats, but I would assume that average didn't carry over to the better teams that we played. And more importantly, I would love to see the amount of rushes we did have last year that went for negative yards. It seemed like quite often we were going for 0 or negative yards, especially on early downs, and then putting Lagway and putting Mertz in a difficult spot, which they shouldn't have been in. So much of Napier's offense is dependent upon the offensive line being able to run the ball and do it efficiently, especially on early downs. If we can't do that this year against the better teams, we're going to be another 6-win team this year. And that, to me, will be the biggest indictment on Billy Napier. It's his 4th year this year. And he officially has no excuse for, it's not his players. It is his scheme. It's his players in the positions that he wants, the players that he's recruited. He has to win big-time games this year. If he doesn't beat Georgia, if he doesn't beat Texas, if he doesn't come away with 2 or 3 of the bigger wins this year, I don't know that there's a reason to keep him in-house. He's a great human being, and I think he can recruit. I think he can recruit just as well as anybody else. I don't think he is willing to do what he needs to do in order to take the next step if he's not willing to step away from the offensive coordinator job. We haven't seen a successful head coach over the past 20 or 30 years. I'm trying to think about whether or not, just Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney alone, both more hands off when it comes to being the CEO. They recruit, they sell, they motivate, they dabble on both sides of the field, they manage their roster. Other than that, they move out of the way for the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator to do their jobs and get on with the program. And they're really just always looking ahead to stack more talent. Billy, I think, is shooting himself in the foot, and the offense, if the offense isn't good this year, it's just going to reek of Billy. And if that's the case, I think Billy's got to go. Nonetheless, I really just don't believe in the Gators just yet. If the offensive line is good, I may start to believe. Fifth topic of conversation is a new segment I like to call Buying or Selling. I do real estate for a living. That's how I make my money. Hopefully this makes me money one day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. When you like and subscribe these videos, that makes it more likely that I can get paid for them. So if you're watching these in support of me, please just remember that. If you like, subscribe, comment, repost, post on Instagram, all of those sorts of things, it just brings me closer to being able to do this full time. So nonetheless, what am I buying this week? I am buying why old people don't know shit, especially about technology. I went into Best Buy, and this leads me into what I'm selling, which is I am selling keeping up with technology. I understand why old people don't know anything about technology, because growing up, technology and at least me grew together. I always knew what the new iPhone could do. I always knew about new cameras or new laptops, or at least had an idea of what they were doing. Nowadays, I walked into Best Buy because I need a new laptop, and I don't know shit from fuck. And excuse my language, it's just, there's so much information out there. The verbiage, the processors and computers, what does 4K Ultra OLED, all those things differentiate, and then the pricing, all of it. I understand why old people don't know anything. It's the ignorance there. I am finally coming to understand. It doesn't, there's too much to understand, and there's too much to keep up with. It's keeping up with the Joneses and then some. I don't know how kids or anybody else keeps up with it unless it is in your life on a daily basis. But good Lord, there is way too much technology out there to know everything, or to know what you're buying, or even just know how to differentiate between the products, and believe in it. Yeah, you can buy a nicer screen here or a nicer computer there, but you're going to be able to tell the difference when you get home? I don't think so. And that's what I'm buying and selling. Don't forget to like and subscribe. When you like and subscribe these videos, that makes it more likely that I can get paid for them. So if you're watching these in support of me, please just remember that.